All right, out here live at 5, bring you some gel coat repairs I'm going to do on the corner of this platform. I got up this morning and I noticed that my group is at 199. I said I would go live when I got to 200. I have a couple junk platforms over here that I'm going to start prepping for that. I feel like this week we're going to do that live of the repairs for the platform. But I wanted to kind of just show you how to drill out and fill a little chip like this. We'll do respray, and then tomorrow we'll probably get back to sanding it. All right, I'm gonna do a walkthrough on my prep for setting this up to repair it. I'm gonna tape it off, work the edges, and as I go, I'll kind of explain to you what I'm doing. So first of all, it takes the tape off the area that you're gonna be working around. I like to fill the edges, make a part that I can pull back from. It's going to be kind of hard to see in the video, but I did leave some exposed edge here around where I tape off at. And the reason why is because you need to round these edges down to make the repair putty stick in there and be successful with the process that you want to bond. I use 180 grit paper, peel and stick, mostly because I like to take it and double it up. And it actually makes it very tough so that when I'm sanding with it, I got flexibility with the paper, but it's actually tough enough to do and like scratch it. Just gotta take it, move the edge down, make sure it's flat. You really want to take your time with this part. If you don't get it right now, it's just gonna make it harder in the future. For my next step, I have this stuff that I just recently talked about in the videos, the structural repair putty. I love this stuff. I can't believe I didn't know about this sooner. As you can see, it's very jelly-like. I don't have to put anything in it to like make it tougher or just give it any strength. And it's basically mixed just like gel coat. So I got a 1/4 ounce here, and by doing the math, I figure 1/4 ounce, I need 5 drops instead of the 28 for a full ounce. So I'm gonna put like 5, 6 drops and then mix it up, and then show you how I lay it in there and basically shape it to get the structure I want, and then go from there. And honestly, when you look at that, it really doesn't look like a lot of like, it's like, oh, is that really going to be enough? But as you're mixing it, you'll see that the putty gets a little more fluid, and so it makes it like, where you can see, okay, it must be mixing with it. The first time I did it, I wasn't sure. I didn't, I wasn't sure if it was actually mixing and bonding with it. So I come out the next day really excited to check on the repair, and I was actually very impressed. Like, I've used epoxy for a long time, and it's good, but it has its faults, and you can use filler for small repairs like this, but is it really that strong? I don't know. I mean, I guess it gets the job done, but I just feel like I can make it a little bit better. So I start looking and looking, and I find out about the structural repair putty. It actually has fiberglass fibers in it. So essentially, it's like laying glass in there, but with a putty. So how could you go wrong with that, right? And so here we are. I got it all mixed up. It's kind of like fairly clearish blue. You'll see it turn color as the mech, the MEKP mixes into it. It starts to change a little bit. So you have an idea that, okay, it's starting to mix, it's good. And this is where the art comes into this. You're basically just going to lay it on here and then sculpt it. Like if you've ever worked with putties or clays or art in school and built something, this will probably work out pretty good for you. I know how to do this right away. Just sort of work it around. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just want to make sure it's filled and that you have it deep enough. Because it's going to be an edge. So I have to kind of imagine I got to build, like going out into a point. You can see over here it goes into a point. If this was crushed, I'd have to rebuild that. So I kind of imagine that while I'm laying the putty out here. This takes a little bit of time. Don't rush it. The good news is this takes about 20-30 minutes to get like hard enough where you can't move it around anymore. So in that point, you can kind of see, if you see something you don't like, you can kind of work a little bit more. There's some time to work with it. But here, I'm going to keep going with this. Okay. Alright, I'm pretty happy with the way it is. It's pretty formed out, and I'm going to go over something else that I see a lot of people do in their projects. They leave the fiberglass or spray or whatever they did, they leave it on and let the tape dry with the stuff on there. I don't really like doing it like that. I like to pull the tape so I can get nice clean lines, especially when working with fiberglass, when you're laying out matte. I don't like the wires hanging out everywhere. It just looks messy. So here I'm going to pull the tape and let's see what happens. Alright, looks pretty decent. What you can't see from there is that the edges are kind of built up a little bit. So what I usually do is take the clean side of this thing. I just buy like in bulk these cheap plastic knives. I use them for mixing everything. I buy like 500 of them for like $5 or something like that. But my advice is don't leave it sitting in your fiberglass resins or your inside of a gel coat. You mix gel coat, one of these things, you leave it inside of there, it'll start to pull pigment out and let you paint it. So basically just want to lay these lines down the edge. Just flatten them out a little bit with the tape pulled up. Alright, that's that. I guess stay tuned. It's going to take 2, 3, 4 hours for it to sand or to dry for me to sand. This is Saturday. I'm not going to be here that long. Alright, I wanted to make a quick video of the final result of the patch because you really couldn't see it in the video very good. And I wanted you to see what I meant by laying the edges down. You can see where I pushed it down so it doesn't have like a sharp edge to it. And this is all fine because from like here to here, probably gonna like sand all this down, all this edge here, and respray it all to make it match in. So if it messes up a little bit above whatever, I mean, you can respray those areas, not a big deal. But you can see it's done a pretty good job of filling. I'm excited to lay it down and show you how it works out. Alright, turns out that it's already dry. Hard like rock. And it took maybe an hour or so, not very long for the stuff to dry. I'm gonna sand it out, let's see what it looks like. So I got it all leveled out and it's a successful patch. Looks pretty decent. These are the tools of the trade. Angle grinder laid down, These blocks. I actually used the angle grinder to lay the fiberglass patch down because it's pretty tough stuff. Then I came behind with a 100 grit and worked the surface down until it hit tape line, and then became behind it with these tiny little blocks and sanded out 180 grit to give it the fine tuning. But I'm pretty satisfied with it. I think it came out decent. Stay tuned, I'll show you how to tape it off and paint it this week. Alright, I'm back out here on this platform repair that I started Saturday. You can see everything came out pretty decent. I'm going to show you how I tape off. Nothing crazy because I'm going to be using the pre-vol system. Stay tuned, I'll show you how I level it and get it prepped for spray. Alright, all prepped out. I'm going to explain my process. So I take 600 grit, work this surface down, sand all this with 600 grit, all of this up to the edges. Then I'll come behind it with one of the little blocks with 180 grit and lay down all of this surface. Everything in there gets 180 grit. You can see the fine grit behind the 80 grit. .600 rolls blocks. Alright, so the final step, take some acetone, wipe it down, let it dry a little bit, get ready to paint. Alright, I'm going to get started on the respray of the tungsten gray platform chip repair. Take a look. 3-volt sprayer. Purge it. Is that it? That's it? That easy? Now we pull the tape. That's a wrap, folks. It's just that easy to make a couple $100 doing a chip repair. I'll get gelcoat trained. Here's that finished product, that pulled tape finish. Nice lines, nice and clean. Get gelcoat trained, folks.